Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Dominions 4, a 7-player free-for-all campaign set in the Middle Age. I, of course, am Agartha, and it is late winter in the year 2 of the Ascension Wars, turn number 23 exactly. We researched a level in Alteration. J. Camo, the Oracle of the Ancients, has claimed the Throne of Flames in the name of For Those About to Rock. That's our pretender. Battle Moose, Ulm, has claimed the Throne of the First Age. We're casting a bunch of Magma Children, and there was a battle in Chalad. Now let me set this up by saying that I had expected that my fortress would be up by this turn, and I had expected that Ulm would put us under siege. However, my expectations were wrong, and so it was a field battle, and I warn you ahead of time, dear viewer, it is going to be very ugly. So let's take a moment to look and see what Ulm has. Now, I have a special place in my heart for Ulm because, as you know, my last Dominions 4 single-player campaign was using this exact same nation. And they're one of my favorite nations. Actually, what am I saying? They are my favorite nation in the game. I didn't play them because I wanted to do something different and unusual in this game, but I want to take a look and see how Battle Moose is doing. And frankly, he's doing quite well. He's leading with his pikemen, which is a good strategy. I tend to like to lead with the shielded guys and then have the pikemen on the flanks, but the pikemen are really great because they are able to kind of keep enemies away from them. They have a repel bonus because of their long weapon. Then he has, of course, the guardians here. He has a number of priest smiths, as we could see. He's got some random troops, though. Like, one thing about when I was playing it single player is my armies were always very methodical. I mean, they were all Ulmish troops. I didn't just throw together kind of random clumpings. And that's what this is here. He has a ton of woodsmen and random militia surrounding his commanders. But the issue is that he has just an absolute ton of priest smiths. Ulm is a one-trick pony. But it's a good trick. And it's a trick that is almost impossible to beat. Once you've reached a critical mass of priest smiths, there is not a lot, except for incredibly high-level magic that we're not even going to reach in this game, that can stop it. They are battlefield evocationists. They are the best in the business. Very limited. They can only cast the Iron Blizzard, some magma eruptions, whatnot for the smiths. But Iron Blizzard is enough. Now, Battle Moose at this point doesn't have Iron Blizzard yet. He's still using Iron Darts. But again, you'll see how absolutely deadly it is. And he just has so many of these guys. Looks like he also has the Ulmish Hero. He changed her name to Zaria MacLeod, but her original name is Hildegard. A lot of Guardians. So, essentially, Ulm has been protected for a number of turns, which has allowed him to spend all of his time and money producing his capital-only troops, including, again, the Guardians, which are capital-only, and the Priestsmiths, which are capital-only, and he will use them to great effect against my much smaller army. Let's watch. So all of his troops, first of all, are summoning Earth Power, which is a smart thing to do. Birdie Bot on my end is just trying to encourage our guys. We don't really have any mages. We do have this dude. I think he might be Province Defense, though. Yeah, my Province Defense is running up. Light Infantry, they're not going to do well. The problem with mass evocations is they take forever. Like, the game just, it shoots one at a time. So as you can see, they're each firing their iron darts. Luckily, my militia is soaking up the most of it here in the early part of the battle. It won't always be like that, though. And we will speed it up a bit more. I wanted you to see it a bit more slowly, but this does take forever. And another cool thing about the Iron Priests, so the Priest Smiths, I should say, is they can pretty much cast Iron Blizzard or Iron Darts forever. Let's see if they're even starting to feel any fatigue here. 38, right? And they've already cast it like 4 times each. 45 on this guy. So, I mean, they do get fatigue, but not an incredible amount. It's not like 2 spells and you're done. So they haven't quite engaged with my... Well, that's not true. It looks like they are hitting these guys a little bit. I'm not really seeing the darts, though. I'm just seeing the little, I'm seeing the little red numbers, meaning my guys are getting hit. But I'm not... I guess they're just going so fast that we can't see them with the naked eye. But so we've already lost a couple of our Shard Guard. Now we're engaging in melee. One unique fact about their Guardians, not going to help them much because they're holding him in the back, but they do have Bane of Heresy, which causes stun damage, I believe. Yes, stun damage to sacred units. And it has an area of effect, too, so it's not just who you hit, it's the whole square. Although, luckily for me, these guys are big enough that only 2 of them fit in a square. Normally 3 infantry can. So we're, of course, better troops than they are. We're blessed, so we have that ability, but we are completely outnumbered. We're just getting mowed down by these iron darts. And finally, once the Guardians get in the fore, they negate our sacredness and cause us to get fatigue and stun. Of course, if you really pay attention, they don't even need the Guardians. It's enough just to have the Priest Smiths and the Pikeneers. And it looks like now they're done casting that. They've gone off the script, and now they're casting kind of random spells like Combustion. And we are fleeing for our lives. Luckily, BirdieBot does get away. But this was pretty much, in every sense, a massacre. And had I known that my fortress was not going to be up in time, I would have moved the troops out of here. This was a bad move on my part. Ulm capitalized on it, and I paid the price. So, essentially, we lost our entire army, 29 Shard Guards. Now remember, we can produce 6 of them a turn. So any lost Shard Guard is a big deal to us, but 29 of them is a huge deal. That's 5 turns worth of creation, whereas they lost 16 War Dogs, a Woodsman Blowpipe, 11 Pikeneers, 1 Guardian, and 1 Infantry. They lost nothing. They lost about 10% of their force, and not even the cream of their force. So there was that. However, we did, oh, I probably should show that to you, instead of showing the results, but we are moving in the ocean, finally. An area where we do quite well. We have more Shard Guard here, led by Lighthawk. We are fighting Ichthyeids. This is the kind of massacre that you are used to. They do have nets, which is kind of annoying, but our regeneration is keeping us safe. As you can see, we lost nothing. In Jebero, the lands around the Throne of Winter are growing increasingly cold, and also the Throne of Winter is spreading cold across the world. So what am I doing? Okay, well, moving BirdieBot back to safety. Obviously, Ulm now has Chalad without much fanfare. I am moving John Muir. No, John Muir is searching here in Golem Range. I'm moving Than back to Agartha. I'm moving J Camo and Conehelm to Bethany. I'm just recruiting troops here, and I'm taking Tifia. The reason I'm doing this is because at this point, Tortuga wrote me a note saying he was planning on taking the Darks in order to assist his attack against Asphodel, and I didn't honestly want to put up a fight with him about it. In fact, he was trying to take Jebero early in the game, and I said, dude, come on, this is in my area, why are you even trying to take it? And he kind of backed off and said, okay, you're right. So I felt that, turnabout was fair. He wanted the Darks, I didn't absolutely need the Darks. Tortuga and I were at peace. I said, you know what, go ahead, take it. And I said, I'm going to grab Tifia, but just so you know, I'm not going to build any kind of fortification on it, I'm just going to grab it and go. So he said that was fine, and we moved on like that. Meanwhile, I got scouts kind of looking all through Wadestar's area, Vanheim, just see what's going on, and I have scouts in the south of Ulm. I don't have nearly as many scouts, I believe, as the other powers. It seems like a lot of them are really heavily reliant on scouts, and I know that's kind of the right way to play the game, but just managing the scouts is kind of annoying to me. So I only create as many as I need. I pluck them down in strategic areas where I could see large amounts of land. I like to put them in neutral territories if I can, so they can just stay there and watch. Like, for example, here in Stone Heavens. I'm not really big on having scouts just everywhere. I know that's kind of a smart way to play. I know that knowledge in a game like this is really important, but I just kind of tend to focus on my own backyard, probably to my detriment. In terms of research, we're continuing up alteration. My goal here is to get to... what is my goal here? I think my goal here is to get to... I think I already made my goal. I think Earth Meld was obviously a goal of mine. Iron Warriors, maybe? It's been a while, actually. We're at turn 40 right now, so I'm just trying to kind of remember. I apologize for that. Haven't done a very good job of keeping this series up to date. So. Alright, so now we're at turn 24. Conrad, the commander of Ulm, has claimed the Brass Throne. That was the throne that I had just lost. We're still Magma Childrening. John Muir did find a site in Golem Range, the Enchanted Field. Not too great, but whatever. Now Ulm is going on a full offensive against me. Nidian Range, which is the area right to the east of Chalad. And he's bringing the majority of his force. Although not his commanders. He's just bringing Hildegard, or I guess Zarya McLeod. But as you can see, they're facing a force of nothing, so they're going to win, of course. We took out one Pikeneer. He's also attacking Tiash, which is this swamp province. This is his mercenary group with the Elephant and the Horrors. Once again, just a smattering of province defense. And we lose. Or, we don't lose, we won. That's cool. I mean, we just took out mercenaries, so it wasn't a huge deal. Iron Range. So this is the area kind of next to Daz, and I have nothing to hold on to it. So yeah, he definitely wins this one. I had no province defense one to speak of. Yeah. I'm attacking Tifia, the island, as we said before, with Lighthawk. And we obviously take it as well. Lose nothing. I attack him in the sinks. That is right here. And I'll tell you what I'm doing in just a second. So, it's just a small little force, but my assumption is that he is not really guarding his hinterlands, like he's focusing most of his attention on his big army. So my goal, Agartha is not a raiding nation, that's Vanheim. But I figure, hey man, let's just do what we can. There's no way we could take out that massive army that he has with all the iron darts, so let's just try to kind of be annoying. In Jebro we found a magic site. In Bithyni, a witch was caught. We discovered a Vanheim scout in Bithyni. I'm always patrolling Bithyni because it's kind of like the gateway into my lands. And Topigog died of a disease. So, here's what's up now. Ulm took this last turn. This turn he took these two. He did fail in Tiash, and our troops managed to take the sinks. So now we're moving down to Anfalia. Again, just to annoy him, I don't expect this army to survive. Birdiebot is being moved back up north to Bithyni. I'm moving reinforcements, specifically Agarth and Rick, up to the Great Feral. John Muir is going also down to the Great Feral to do a search for nature sites. Our armies in Tifia are moving back to the Tifian Sea, as we said they would. And that's it, we're just kind of fortifying Black Peaks. Every turn we recruit the max number of Shard Guard, and then whatever else I can afford, what I have. I'm moving over to the Golem Crafters, for the most part, in our capital, to cast Magma Children. As you can see here, we're starting off with just a few, but that number kind of ramps up a bit later. Alright, 25. So Tjodvig, the Hearse, has claimed the Throne of Fortune. That's Vanheim. We're summoning Penumbrals now, more Magma Children, and one Sentinel. The problem with the Enliven Sentinel skill, the Sentinels are sacred, so I want as many of them as possible because my Bless makes them very valuable. However, it's impossible to mass them, so you'll notice that I go mostly for Magma Children because you get a ton of them at once. Sentinels are very, very hard to mass until you get another spell later on, which I'll probably never even reach in this entire campaign, that allows you to summon more than one at a time. Alright, Tiash. Ulm tries again. I want to say he succeeds this time. Yeah, he brings the house against me, led by his heroine, a bunch of guardians. An interesting layout. I mean, it does the job, certainly, but guardians being kind of specialty troops, you really don't want them to take out province defense. You really want to save them for my sacred shard guard. Now, maybe he believes there are shard guard here. Maybe he thinks I have some kind of plan. But they are kind of wasted against light infantry. Nevertheless, he does win. He does lose one black plate infantry, but I'm sure he's not crying about that one. Now, Amphalia, again, I'm just continuing my raiding. Small little group here. And yeah, we hit kind of a roadblock here because he actually has good province defense here. None of these are Ulmus troops. This is all province defense. But he's got knights, he's got militia, he's got archers. So that was the end of my little raiding party. Muspel, foreign priests have infiltrated. We lost some dominion. Tifia, we got some gold. And the power of the throne of fortune is spreading, so everyone gets luck +1, which is nice. Alright, so here's the plan. The front has rapidly changed, so I'm moving up J Camo, along with whatever army he can muster, to Bergamum to kind of hold the line. Bertiebot is heading back to Agartha through the Great Firil. Agarthan Rick is moving to Bithyni. And I'm moving Sisebert up here to Black Peaks in order to build a lab, hopefully. A lab and a temple. I do have both here in Bithyni at this point. So Bithyni, we are just recruiting humans at this point. I'm not sure why. That was an odd choice. In Agartha, the same old, as many Shargar as we can get. Although we did, in this chance, get an ancient one. The reason why is because they have a morale benefit to any unit they're with, whereas the Shardguard do not. But they're not as good otherwise. And I'm moving this troop from Tithian Sea back down to Black Gorge, and they're just going to hang out there and kind of keep an eye on my watery possessions. We do still have troops in the sinks, but as they are surrounded by the enemy, I do not expect them to live. Alright, 26. So Vanheim sends me a note saying that because they are allies with Ulm, they are going to declare war on me. And they do. So we are continuing to summon mostly Magma Children, one Sentinel. John Muir has not found a site in the Great Firil. I get to watch a Shiniyama battle in Stone Heavens against the Barbarians. So we can get a quick look at what his army looks like. He's got the Dai Bakemono with bows. More Dai Bakemono with bows. Interesting troop layout. I guess his idea is that if these guys in the front engage in melee, he'll still have another kind of back row of bows that can still continue to fire. Because once you start engaging in melee, you lose your ability to fire. He's being led by Yuki Naga, the Prophet, who looks pretty awesome. Not great magic paths, but he is immortal. And yeah, the arrows of the Dai Bakemono are quite good and more than enough to take out the Barbarians. Looks like he's leading with a group of O Bakemono, high hit point, low protection units, probably to soak up arrows or attacks. So he wins that without much trouble. So now Vanheim starts to raid me. And he's very good at it. Looks like he was preparing. I mean, he didn't just to say, oh, I'm going to declare war on Marcus's turn. He had it well planned out. So since I only have a very minimal province defense in all of these provinces, and he's attacking with a really good force of blessed Vans, who already, even without blessing, are decent because they have glamour, but with the blessing, they also have defense +7 and quickness, so that's a big water bless, a little bit of morale, reinvigoration, so a little bit of earth, and strength. So, needless to say, he is victorious. Bergamum, same thing. Actually, no. Bergamum, he's just sending a scout in for some reason. Maybe just testing the waters, seeing what I was doing. Mountains of Madness. Another raiding party. This time he has a fair amount of Vans. So, I mean, even if I had an army in this province, we wouldn't have probably won this one. Unless I was prepared. Which I wasn't, obviously. Ulm was attacking us in the Sinks. Which is, again, this was his territory that we raided, and our raiding force got defeated, so all we had left was a very minimal force. And they get pretty much crushed. We take out a militia and 3 war dogs, but otherwise don't do much good there. In Obelsheen, another Vanheim attack. Another raid of Vans. Again, just against province defense, they win. So already we're talking 10 Vans and a hearse, 24 Vans and a hearse, 15 Vans and a hearse, 12 Vans and a hearse, and he also attacked me with 2 scouts. So he is fielding quite a lot of troops. He obviously was in position to attack. In fact, he was probably inside the provinces that he did attack already, previous turn. He just, because they can scout, they have the sneak attack, so he was just able to turn them into a real attack. It was a really well-planned raid. That's what Vanheim excels at, because their troops are stealthy, they have glamour, and they are, especially the sacred ones, the Vans, are incredibly good. So this was a magnificently planned raiding attack, and it did maximum damage. We also had an unexpected event in Simri, and in Trollland, neither of them good, and the power of the Throne of Fortune is still having its effect. What am I doing? So in response to this incredibly good string of attacks by Vanheim, which when you look at it in the map is here, 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 and here, so all kind of coordinated, I'm moving my troops to Jebero to kind of stem the tide. If he wants to move there, I'm trying to block him. I'm moving troops into Golem range to retake it. So one thing about raiding is you typically don't stay around afterwards to keep the province. So I'm not sending much. I'm just sending, it looks like Stonefinger and a few troops just take it back. I'm doing the same thing to Obelshin with Agarth and Rick. Otherwise, here in my capital, I'm just recruiting Shard Guard, and at this point my money is really faltering, so I'm not able to recruit very much more than my Shard Guard. Although I get some defenders everywhere I can. Looks like up here in Black Peaks, I also get some defenders, so I'm able to kind of round out my forces. So now I'm at a kind of a crossroads, because Vanheim and Ulm are both attacking me. So I decide to let Ulm be, especially because it looks like he is not pressing his attack further. This is a very small group of woodsmen, definitely not the huge army that he had in Shalad. So I'm moving against Vanheim because I'm reasonably confident that he doesn't have big armies. He has tons of raiding troops and he's got them well positioned, but he doesn't have a huge army running around, especially because he lost a ton of troops against Ermor earlier on. So my goal here is to avoid his fortresses. I'm not going to try to take the throne at Emain, but I'm going to try to take his undefended provinces and get to the sea. That is my main goal, because I surpass him underwater. We are not as good as him on land at this point. Even our sacred troops, unless they are massed, can't take out 25 Vans. But underwater, we are definitely more tactically superior. So that's what I'm trying to do with this move here. So I think 27, is that where we're at? Okay. So again, more Magma Children. He goes for us in Bergamum, which is right south of Bethany. Is this another scout attack? So he's throwing a lot of scouts at us just to kind of see what we have, which is smart. We are taking, or attempting to take Golem range back. But because we have a fairly decent army, nothing sacred or crazy, but all he has is a couple points of province defense, we do without incident. We're trying to take Juek back. That's the, well, not back, that's actually his province, his swamp province, that we're going full bore against with J Camo, a bunch of Shard Guard, a few of our Stone Hurlers, and we're led by as many Sentinels as we can put together. I just want you to appreciate the amount of time that went into this army, because we can only get 6 of these guys a turn, and we can only get like 1 or 2 of these guys a turn. So this is pretty much my entire Shard Guard and Sentinel force. And then Obelshin, we're just trying to take it back. So that's a couple Magma Children. We got Agarth and Rick. And we got some Shard Guard, very few. But again, he's got not a lot to work with. I did set my guys to guard Agarth and Rick, just in case he had Vans still in here, like we caught him unaware or something, but we didn't. So it was an easy win. And we got one of Ulm's scouts in the Great Pharaoh. So what we're looking at is we've been able to take back these two. He still owns Salam and Mountains of Madness, but as you can see, we're moving into both of those the following turn. Dwarf Comic is solidifying his position here at the throne of Scythia. We are moving our Black Orge army up to Moonsea. I think the reason we're doing that is to pick up these guys. These, Marrows. Because they're just kind of sitting there. So I'm just going to add them to my army. So we have two of our own raiding forces. Very different in scope from Vanheim's. Vanheim's raiding forces are fast. They're glamorous. They're stealthy. My forces, of course, are the opposite of all of that. They're just big hammers, essentially. But they're big sacred hammers that are heading for the ocean because that's where we do well. So we're moving on from Juek to Cerulean Sea. We're moving from Obelshin to Deadlands. And from there to the Sea of Karassos. So Ulm has decided to give up his attack against me. It looks like he's just focusing on consolidating. And that's really that. As far as recruitment, again, Shardguard, Defenders. In Bithyni, Defenders. And Defenders. The reason I'm recruiting so many Defenders is because they have a defense bonus, hence the name. And so it's funny because I don't want to put them in armies led by leaders to go out and fight. I'd rather keep them inside the fortress because that's where they do good. They have a defense bonus inside the fortress. Otherwise, they're just decent Agarthan troops. So I'm just kind of keeping them here so that they can take my regular provinces. They could raid them, whatever they want, but they can't take my key provinces and my choke points. That's kind of my focus here because I'm definitely outnumbered. I'm definitely outclassed. And I'm doing the best I can to stay alive. So 28. Okay. Das claimed the Throne of Law. It looks like we're on to construction in terms of research, so we're done with alteration research. I'll take a look at that this turn and show you where we're at. Another Sentinel and much more Magma Children. We searched Bithyni, found nothing. So we're attempting to take Salam back. And we are successful. He's trying to take White Peaks, so another raid right in the heart of our land. And he, of course, is going to be successful. There's really very few things out there that we have that could take out. He combined two of his raiding armies into one. So we're talking about 49 Vans and 3 Vanhurst commanders, which are essentially very good thugs. They could take provinces by themselves, properly equipped. So there wasn't much I have to answer this. I think Wadestar was being a little too cautious, honestly, because I think with that much of an army, he could have laid siege to my capital. He could have taken Bithyni. He could have done some serious damage. But again, he was just focusing on raiding. I think he thought that I had more of a ace up my sleeve than I really did. But I'm proceeding with my assault on the Cerulean Sea. Agartha is designed to fight underwater, so we don't do bad here. But the problem is, these guys shouldn't have been in the front. And they are, and so we take casualties, I believe, that we shouldn't have. Maybe not. Our Sentinels really should be the ones leading the charge. So, no, we luckily didn't, but that was still a bad move on my part. Now, Mountains of Madness, we're attempting to take it back. Again, this army is nothing to write home about, but it's enough to take 3 points of province defense. And then Deadlands. That's my other assault army. Now this one, though, is going to have a problem. Can you guess what it is? I'll tell you. Magma Children and these guys here can't go underwater. They are not amphibious. Only the Shardguard and the leader are. So we're able to win this battle. We don't lose anything, but we are kind of at a crossroads because we can't all go under the water. So we got some barbarian scouts who are preparing for a large-scale assault on Trollland, because they'll just let the luck keep flying for me. And Bithyni, 4 of our units got cursed. The Throne of Law was claimed by Daz, so order and unrest has changed. Order's gone up, unrest has gone down. And our scout Tricky Dick was found and killed in Anphalia. So okay, now Ulm is back. Ulm is back in Indian range with his gigantical force. We have succeeded in taking Cerulean Sea. We've succeeded in taking Deadlands. But you'll notice we're moving back. We're moving away. So we kind of called off this assault here as I realized that these troops were not going to be able to get under the water. But I also figured these guys were enough. But the problem I had at this point was determining what to do with these guys. I could easily take Whitewater. I could easily take Blue Beauty. But the question I had was, well, what do I do? Do I go north? Do I go south? Do I attack Nashin? Like, I have a lot of options here. And so I was trying to really think what would be the best choice. Like, what option would yield the best results? Meanwhile, I'm attempting to take White Peaks back. And now that we've taken all the provinces back that he was raiding, I'm trying to move my forces back into my heartland. So this group under Lighthawk is Mountains of Madness, and this group under Stonefinger is going into Golem Range. I have a scout here, just checking out what Wade's doing on the periphery, and Gol Raip and Ephesibor. Now that I picked up the Marrows, I'm going back to Black Gorge with these guys. As far as recruiting, again, actually this time I'm going to Ancient Ones for the morale bonus. And I'm recruiting another Oracle of the Ancients, since they are our only commander who is worth a damn, honestly. And Clovis and Panabust are moving in different places. And it doesn't really tell me where. But one of them, I think Panabust is moving to Agartha, and Clovis is moving to Bithini to improve the defense with a number of Magma Children. As you can see, we're starting to get a ton of Magma Children. I guess somebody summoned some Claymen as well, just for fun. We're re-equipping Birdiebot as best as we can. And in terms of research, we're going full evocation now. So we took Alteration to level 3 to get Iron Skin. That was our goal there. And then we took Construction to level 1. Not entirely sure why. That was probably just... Maybe I was thinking, let's get down to Legions of Steel. But I decided after one level of growth in that actually my points would be better spent evocation. I'm heading toward... Well, Blade Wind obviously is useful, but that isn't exactly what I really want. I guess I'm just kind of going down the chain to eventually get to Magma Eruption, which is not only a good spell for Agartha, but a really good spell for Ulm too. We have similar paths, but that's kind of where I'm going with that. So, oops. Well, I'm just going to quit the turn anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But at this point, we're going to end the episode here, but essentially, I am not doing well. I'm fighting two opponents, one of which, Vanheim, is playing the game very well, and the other, Ulm, is just overwhelmingly powerful due to many, many turns of not having much to do except for raising troops. He's got kind of a small, compact area that doesn't require too much defense, and he was being protected from here by Daz, although it looks like there must be some kind of peace or something going on with him in Asphodel, because Asphodel does resurge a little bit, but doesn't really move against Ulm, is instead focusing on fighting Daz and Tortuga. But I guess when you're fighting three enemies at once, you don't really have a lot of choice. You just basically do whatever you can. And it looks like I forget to move my troops this turn. The Cerulean Sea troops aren't really going anywhere. So that was a mistake on my part. I think what I think happened is I wanted to move them somewhere. I chose a place to move them, and I accidentally left-clicked or something at some point, and the move got canceled. I didn't pay attention and ended the turn, so they kind of sat there. But that's where we stand. So next episode we'll go further along, but at this point it does appear that I'm holding my own. I'm able to take back the provinces that have been raided, but again, mostly due to Wadestar's caution. I think if he really wanted to take me out back to the woodshed, he could. His 50 vans could probably beat any army that I could field at this point. I mean, he maybe have a fight on his hands against well, no, Garth and Rick's kind of weak. I think this army right here, down here in Cerulean Sea, is probably the one army that could stand against 50 vans, but they're nowhere near them. So that's where we are. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Marcus Aurelius. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Have a good one.